So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use your Parapocalypse EDC Implementation Kit to make sure that you always have some of this survival Parapocalypse paracord on your person or on your gear at all times. Now, let me talk about this Parapocalypse cord a little bit if you haven't looked into it. Some pretty incredible stuff. It's a little bit more robust than your average paracord, okay? Inside of this Parapocalypse cord, we have a lot of different types of strands. We have your standard paracord inner strands, which are these white ones. We've got a strand of monofilament line, this one right here. We've got some Kevlar line, and we've also got what's called a Dyna X line. Those are the white and red ones, the Kevlar and the Dyna X right there, underneath my finger right there. And then we also have this waxed jute line right here, which is incredible for fire starting. Okay, so being able to carry this stuff on your person is a huge EDC score and a huge EDC win if you ever needed some survival fishing line or some survival cordage of any kind. So that's exactly what this EDC implementation kit is. All right, when I take this and kind of dump it out here, has a lot of kind of random parts and pieces, and all of these are designed to integrate this Parapocalypse cord pretty fluidly and with a little bit of style into your wardrobe, into your outfits, or onto your packs. Okay, so let's just kind of take this one piece at a time. The first piece we're going to start with is this cord end, and that looks like this right here. And so I'm just going to go over exactly how and where to use these in your outfit. These cord ends are just a way to kind of polish off the end of a piece of paracord. For example, imagine a hoodie, okay? Imagine a hoodie that's got a drawstring through the hood, okay? And you want to replace that drawstring with this Parapocalypse cord. Well, once you can easily tie off the ends, but it's just not as polished looking as having one of these cord ends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off a piece of this Parapocalypse cord here. I'm going to cut a piece of that off, like that right there. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this end, I'm going to try to at least. What I'm going to do before I do that is I'm just going to take my lighter. I'm just going to kind of start to melt those together just a little bit, like that right there, so that they don't fray out on me too bad. And then I'm going to feed that up through the bottom of that cord end, like that right there. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I want to kind of melt this end a little bit. So I'm going to use my lighter. I'm going to melt that end a little bit more than I just did before. And it's okay if it catches on fire, no big deal. I'm going to blow it out. So I'm going to get it nice and melty. We'll go ahead and blow it out. And then I'm going to take the edge of this lighter and kind of smash the end of that melted cord so that it's got like a little mushroom on the end of it. Because that right there is going to prevent this from pulling through the bottom of this cord end. And now I'm just going to take and I'm going to snap that cord end just like that. So now we have a really polished end on that cord end. I'm going to do the other end the exact same way. I'm just going to kind of melt these a little bit. I'm going to use my fingers. I'm going to take my other cord end, push that through there like that, right up through the bottom. Imagine this is already on your hoodie. You've already fed this Parapocalypse cord through your hoodie string or whatever other kind of drawstring there is. You can see how well that jute twine's burning. Just going to blow that out. Kind of smash that nice and big. If you've got really sensitive fingers, you can use, you notice I just kind of use my fingers to do this stuff, but you can have gloves on. Just be careful. This paracord, when it's melting, is hot. And you can pull it right down in there. Snap that shut. And then all of a sudden, you've got a really great polished cord ends for a hoodie string or some other kind of drawstring or anywhere that you would carry a length of paracord on your person. It's a really great way to finish those off. So that's exactly how you use the cord ends. So the next piece that I want to show you is actually this piece right here. It's got those little sharp pokey things on the inside there. Kind of folds in half. It's this piece right here. That is actually this piece right here, which allows you to create a zipper pull using this Parapocalypse cord. Now, zipper pulls are really great for a variety of reasons. Not only are you able to have a little bit of cord, in the case of this Parapocalypse, you know, what's the real value of this short little zipper pull cord is the fire starting strand, okay? You're not gonna get a whole lot of use out of the other strands when it's only 6 inches long or so, except for that fire starting strand. And if you haven't watched the other video tutorial where I show how to start a fire with just a little spark from your brass sparky tool and the jute twine in the Parapocalypse cord, be sure to do that. But that's the real value in this zipper pull. And if you in cold weather, if you have thick, heavy gloves on, a zipper pull is a really great, you know, this zipper pull hanging off your zipper. It's a really good aid for undoing zippers if you've got gloves on. Okay, so let's show you really quick how to turn this little guy right here into a zipper pull. And I'm going to do that using a little bit of orange Parapocalypse cord here. What I want to do is I want to cut off for a zipper pull where you tie it on with a lark's head like this. I want to use at least about 6 inches of cord here. Okay, so I'm going to cut off 6 or 7 inches. You want it to be a zipper pull that's, I guess the best way to say it is worth your time. Okay, this is already kind of burned on this end, so I'm going to cut that off, because what we want to do is on the end of this zipper pull, on the end of this cord, I actually want to pull out, in order to put this zipper pull on, I actually want to pull out a little bit of that right there, and I'm going to cut it off. Okay, I'm going to take this right here. I'm just going to cut this off really quick. There we go. And I'm going to pull that sheath back up over that so that I've kind of got a little bit of an empty sheath on the end of this right here. I'm going to do the same thing to this side right here. I'm going to pull out the insides of this paracord, grab all that stuff right there, pull those out, come in here and cut that off. That Kevlar strand is no joke. It does not want to cut. Cut these off right here. There we go. Now what I want to do is I want to take that strand and kind of pull it back over top of here so that on each end here, I've kind of got an empty sheath. Okay. Now I'm going to take my lighter, and I'm just going to really quickly, I don't want to make these bulky by melting them, but I just want to really quickly just barely melt the ends of this nylon sheath. Just barely melt the ends so they just melt together just a little bit. Can you see that right there? Cool. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of these ends, and I'm going to, one by one, push them up through the bottom of this zipper pull, like this right here. I'm just going to stack them on top of each other. Right on top of, see those little spiky things inside of there? Can you see them? If you look real close, I'm going to stack them right on top of those. And I'm going to close this one down on top of it. And those spiky things pinch down through that sheath of that paracord, and then this piece snaps together, and now I cannot pull that out. And the fact that I've kind of barely melted the end of that nylon sheath makes it so that I can't pull that out. Now let me show you how I'm going to put that onto my zipper. If you're not familiar with a lark's head, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end of this, I'm going to take it, I'm going to push it right up through the hole in my zipper. And then I'm going to take this right here, I'm going to push it through that loop, and then just pull it tight from there. That way I can always remove this zipper pull if I need to. And by using these zipper pulls right here, you're able to carry a really nice length of fire starting cord with you at all times, okay? So the next piece I want to go through in this kit is also a zipper pull, and it is a 2-piece zipper pull, and you're going to need this black piece and this orange piece. And this one right here is really a cool zipper pull. So let me show you how it goes together. All right, so the 2-piece zipper pull right here, this actually forms a whistle zipper pull, okay? The way this goes together is this orange piece goes down into this black piece, but don't push it all the way down in there because they snap together and they're really hard to get apart, sometimes impossible to get apart if you snap them together before you want to. But just so you know, this goes in like this right here, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and I'm gonna cut a 6-inch strand of paracord. This time I'm gonna use black. Cut that off with a pair of scissors here. I'm going to do the same thing like I did in the last zipper pull. I'm going to pull out the inner strands a little bit. Take and pull these out a little bit. About a, I don't know, 1/2 inch or so. 1/2 inch, 1 inch. I'm going to cut those off. And then I'm going to grab back here and then just pull that sheath. And what that does is that gives me about a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch or so of empty sheath right at the end. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Pull those out 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Cut those off like that right there. I'm going to come back here and kind of milk that paracord line to the end right there. And so what I've got is the ends are 2 kind of empty sheaths. I'm going to do the exact same thing of what I did before. Kind of melt these down just a little bit. So I'm going to melt them down just a little bit more. Okay, let me show you kind of what I did there. I just kind of melted them down and smashed them just a little bit. Not bulky, but I did kind of melt them so that they kind of stay together a little bit. Okay. Just like that right there. You see that? All right, perfect. Now, what we want to do is I want to take both of these pieces, okay, these paracord pieces. You see the end, here, let me use my scissors here. You see that little hole right there on that piece? I want to cram the end of one end in here and bring it through right here and down the side. So in there, through there, and down the side. And I want to do the other end on the other side, which is the same thing, in there, around there, and down the side. Okay, so I'm going to take this end, and if you've melted it too much and it's real bulky, then just melt it. Like what I'm going to do, this feels a little bulky to me, so I'm going to melt it a little bit. Just kind of squeeze it a little skinnier. There we go. There we go. I've got that end in there. I'm going to kind of see how that's in there like that, and it's around and down the side. So I'm going to hold that in there with my thumb and my finger. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side right here. I'm going to push this end in right here. Pull it through that neck right there. See how I'm kind of holding that in there like that? Then I'm going to go this down on the side. And then I'm going to come. This actually has to go down through here. And now I pull this kind of while I'm holding those two things in place there, and they're on the side, I kind of push this on top. I think I've got them there. There we go. Pull that until it locks. We push this orange piece in there until it locks into the black, and that should theoretically lock those two. Now I've done this a few times, okay, so it might be a little tricky the first time you do it, but that should theoretically lock those two pieces in place once this whistle locks together, and I should be able to tug on this and it not come out. Okay, you want to be able to tug on it a little bit and make sure that it doesn't come out. And you also want to make sure that these two zipper pieces don't come apart either. Sometimes you've got to take and, you know, kind of pound the bottom so that they're definitely locked into place. If these two orange and black pieces come apart, you want to make sure that your paracord's just a little bit better fitted into the holes in that little channel that goes around to the side, okay? You might have to play with that a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and check and make sure my whistle works. Perfect. So the obvious bonus of this particular zipper pull is now I have fire tender and inside of the Parapocalypse cord, and I also have a really great rescue whistle on, in this case, one of my favorite vests. And there we go. So this is a perfect kind of backup rescue whistle, and I can't tell you how many survival stories I've studied where just having a whistle like this could have made all the difference, okay? So let me show you the next piece in this kit, which basically allows you to replace all of your shoestrings in your favorite boots with Parapocalypse cord. So if you haven't already done so in your favorite hiking boot, you definitely need to replace those strings with some of this Parapocalypse cord. You have plenty in your box this month to do that. And I've also included in your box these little things right here, okay? These are what's called shoelace aglets. Look at that. They even say not if but when on them. How cool is that? Okay, aglets are just simply little metal pieces that we can clamp around the end of our shoestrings like this, so that it's just a really polished, finished look, okay? You can just melt the ends of paracord and it will be sufficient, but it's not gonna look as cool as having some not if but when aglets, okay? So let's show you how these go on. I'm gonna pull some of this cord out right here. Cut that piece off. Now, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of melt this end and shape it to a little bit of like a dull point, okay? So I'm gonna melt it, then I'm just gonna use my fingers there, just shape it to kind of a rounded dull point. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other end of my shoelace. Now this is some real usable paracord right here, because shoelaces, we're talking about, bootlaces, we're talking about in between 36 inches and 48 inches of paracord per boot. That's a lot of paracord, and when you take a lot of these inner strands, you've got a significant amount of fishing line, you've got a significant amount of just cordage in general. Okay, so to put these on, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and I'm going to just kind of press that down inside. You just gotta kind of work it down inside of that aglet. There's a little hook here, see that little tooth right there? It kind of wants to catch on to stuff, but you just got to work your way around it. There we go. I'm going to take my scissors here and kind of cram it into the end there a little bit. There we go. All right, so you see this little tooth? All right, that we want to kind of press into that little notch right there. Now, this paracord's a little too thick to do that, but we want to do it as best as we can. I'm just going to use this little multi-tool here to do that. See how I've kind of just bent that over and smashed it down in there? there are reverse angled teeth on the inside of this aglet that will prevent you from stripping this paracord out of here. And all I'm doing is I'm just kind of pinching the sides of this aglet in a little bit, just shaping it around that paracord. Perfect. There's a really great end right there. It's clamped in there. I'm pulling. Let me see if I can. I'm not going to be able to pull that aglet off, which is great. So let's do the other one. Come in here. See, that one went in there really nice. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to take my multi-tool and I want to kind of push down and toward the other side on that tooth. And that kind of really helps to grip onto that paracord. I'm going to do the same thing over here. All right, perfect. So there is a perfectly finished off shoelace end with these aglets, and you've got enough of those to do a full set of shoestrings for your favorite boots. So you can see these two together here. Very cool. Okay, perfect. So there are some really cool accessories that you can use to incorporate paracord into your survival EDC. Because remember, like I always say, right? Remember, it's not if, but when.